Gracious me!
What is going on, guys? TVM here. Welcome back to the Road to Glory. Today's episode is a little bit different. It might be boring to some of you as well, and I'm going to tell you right now because I don't need to sit here for the best part of, say, 15, 20 minutes, and at the end of it think, why did I just waste my time sitting through this? It's all gameplay. Every little single bit of it is gameplay or gameplay related. So obviously going to show you where we are sort of periodically throughout, and that's pretty much the only break from the gameplay we're going to get. But I am going to ruin it or spoil it because I don't want to keep you in suspense for 15 minutes as to where we finished. I think it's pretty obvious where we finished. Elite 3, no, can you imagine? No, it's Gold 3. Intentionally though, and not like even remotely bothered by it, and I've not struggled to get there. This was the easiest week I've ever had in Foot Champs. And I would say that I owe it to the team, but not in the way that you'd think. I don't owe it because of the quality of the players necessarily. I owe it to them because of the ease of use. I enjoy using every single player in this team to a degree. But like the midfield in general, even this by here, didn't rage when that happened. Normally, it would have thrown my controller at the wall after I'd even score the goal here. But because that referee got in my way, normally I would just be like moaning how bad the game is, and the referees need to be sort of hollow, I guess, and then you could just run through them. I don't think they should have collision on them, but that's for a different story. Yeah, I didn't rage once. Like, not once did I got mad at the game, and it's because I'm using players like Gerrard and Lippmann and Bergkamp that I really enjoy using, and I want to get more of those type of players in the team because I feel like the more enjoyment I get out of it, the less stress and the less sort of annoyed I'm going to get at the game. And I finished Gold 3 with 9 games remaining. However, I quit, I think 4. It's definitely 3, but I think it was 4. I quit them when I was 1-0 down, 2-0 down. One of them I conceded in the 7th minute, right? He'd literally been passing me to death for about 7 minutes, and he scored. And I left. I just quit the game. Not because I thought, oh, I'm never going to beat him. Because I never quit games because you never know what's going to happen, right? You go into some games and you feel like, oh god, this guy is great. And I've got a little story about that in just a second. But you go into some games and you think, oh, this guy is just fantastic. There's no way I'm going to beat him. And you end up winning, you know? So I never quit games normally. And I'll get back to that in just a second. This, by the way, was a penalty. I still can't see it, no matter how hard I look. Sorry, chance is gone. You've taken the shot. You've run into my sliding player, essentially, because I slid in front to try and block. It's not a penalty. He dispatches it. But again, it was a little sort of a flippant comment by me, really. It was, that's nowhere near a penalty. That's not a penalty. It can't be a penalty, blah, blah, blah. But it was never really a rage moment, necessarily. This is fantastic, though. This is Steven Gerrard, and that is why I've got him in the team, and that is exactly the kind of thing I want from him. 25, 30 yard screamers where I could literally, and I did, and I'm not ashamed to say it, screamed Gerrard at the top of my voice when I hit it. And that's the fun that you just don't have with other teams, like with quote-unquote meta teams. So that's why we managed to do it. So yeah, I was quitting games that I was going like 1 or 2-0 down in because I just wanted nice, easy wins. And if I wasn't going to get them, then I was just going to leave. And that sounds pathetic, but I just wanted to keep my sort of, not stress levels down, but just an annoyance with the game. I didn't want to get pissed off at the game, essentially, and I didn't, and I kept it down to a minimum. But going forward, I think if I can sort of play my games and not really get that annoyed at them, I'd be more than happy to finish them, rather than just play to 14 wins, because that's all I'm doing at the moment. I play to 14 wins and I stop. I had 9 games remaining, and I actually had time left to finish the remaining games. Decided not to. I decided then to edit the footage ready for today as opposed to doing this early in the morning. So I actually gave myself a bit of time off in the end. But I don't think I'm going to do that from now on. I am going to sort of crack on and finish the games if I have time to, if stress levels are down, which I think they will be. We're going to make another couple of changes to the team. I think I've decided what I want to do. But I'm probably going to wait for either tomorrow's episode or the day after to actually do that. We'll talk about it in tomorrow's episode, I'm sure. I'm a little bit annoyed in a way that those Team of the Week packs and things like that won't be there tomorrow. I think they disappear at 6 o'clock today. I won't have time to go on and take advantage of that. The changes I want to make would leave me with what, like 50, 60k at least. So I should, or in theory, I would have enough money to build a few Premier League and Serie A packs ready for Team of the Week, because obviously the Team of the Week coming up is going to be littered with Premier League players and Italian League players, because those are the only two major leagues on. So if you build loads of them, chances are you're going to have, well, not chances are, but you'd have a much better chance of packing something decent. Let's get into the comments. Jordan says he can't understand why people are complaining about the thumbnails. He loves them. At least the thumbnails aren't clickbait. That's why I love this series. That is one thing that really drives me crazy about YouTube, is if you clickbait, you get nailed to the wall for it, unless you are a clickbait YouTuber, which everyone is happy with. Those type of people who will clickbait everything, but no one ever moans because they know it's clickbait. If that makes sense. But I get accused of clickbait every now and again, and it drives me mental, because you can't win. Like I should be clickbaiting things, but then I shouldn't be at the same time. Like if I do quote-unquote clickbait something, I don't think I've ever clickbaited something properly. Like I've never gone out of my way to do it, because I just don't have the guts to do it. I don't want the hate for it, right? But people are telling me to clickbait things, but when I do clickbait them, people call me out for drives me nuts. So I stay away from it. I don't bother. Views and subs will come naturally over time. If I have to spend another 5 years doing this to get to the number that I want to get to, so be it. It's I'd love the overnight success, a couple of clickbait videos and sort of a mil views here or there, an instant sort of success, but it's not worth the hassle, to be honest. For your super subs, this was interesting, because these are what I would really class as sort of low-rated players. For your super subs, I suggest Goretzka and Kondogbia, and then Son as an attacker. Now, like I said, I would class those as low-rated players. We have more than enough money to go for better players than those. Like Goretzka is a couple of thousand coins. He's 83 rated, is he? 82, 83 rated, and he's only a couple of thousand coins. I haven't really looked at him as far as playing him is concerned. Kondogbia is the same. I don't need a CDM though. Like I'm happy with my CDMs. Nainggolan is a fantastic super sub. Whether I want to bring him on to defend or whether I want to bring him on to attack, he has both of those things in his locker. And then Son as an attacker, that's an interesting one. I was actually looking at his inform, and I moved my keeper there because I thought he was going to try and finesse me, and he didn't, and he hit it near post. This was one of those games that I was conceding goals left, right and centre, and I genuinely couldn't understand why. I was 4-0 down in 26 minutes, and I just didn't understand. This guy wasn't a particularly good player. This happened twice this weekend. I just got absolutely slapped in the first 20 minutes, and I couldn't work out what had happened, and I didn't concede a goal then for the rest of the game. But then I just couldn't get myself back into it. And that happens, like I said, it happened twice this weekend that I can remember. That guy quit after the first goal. He was basically doing what I was doing, and I don't blame him at all. If he's just trying to scrape 14 wins, just trying to get there as quickly as possible, why bother playing against someone who you know is going to be a pain? Especially, I mean, look at that guy's team, by the way. 4 red player picks, and all 4 of them, maybe not so much Trent Alexander-Arnold, but all 4 of them are of quality. At least 3 of them are. So yeah, again, I think was this the other one? Everything this guy did went in. He was 2-0 up in 7 minutes. We're 12 minutes in here. I think actually I may grab a goal back. I can't quite remember, but it was definitely 2 games I played that it was just an absolute mess. Yeah, this was the game. We went 2-0 down very early on. The guy wasn't particularly great as far as I can remember. And for whatever reason, I could not get that ball to hit the back of the net. Like I was taking so many shots. Eventually, Mahrez scores. Then we managed to get Mahrez up that right side in the second half. I tell you what, Mahrez was an absolute godsend this weekend. He is fantastic. He scored. I was editing the whole thing, and I thought, oh, Mahrez has done quite well there. But then I decided I was going to do an Mbappe review, because he, quote, I don't want to ruin this, but he may or may not be leaving the club soon. We'll talk about more about that tomorrow. We ended up losing that one 3-2. Very unfortunate. He did have a much better second half than he did a first half. Sort of back end of it. You know, the first 20 minutes he was all over me, then he disappeared completely, and then right at the end he came back and I couldn't cope with it. But what was I saying about Mahrez? Yeah, and I was going back through the clips to get clips for Mbappe's review, and I not that I couldn't find them, but Mahrez was scoring in every other clip that there was, right? He was on fire, and I found it much easier to find clips from Mahrez than I did any other player on the field. And only then did I realise how well he'd actually done. Someone says they suggest Coutinho as a super sub, not as a starting player. I mean, yeah, that's an option. We have had Coutinho, and I think he was all right. He was a bit weak. I think that was the only complaint that I really had about him. Could I please try Hernan Crespo because all of his cards are massively underrated? I've seen that comment a couple of times actually. The problem I have is I've gone from wanting to get rid of Dennis Bergkamp because he doesn't really fit the way that I seem to play, into I don't really want to get rid of Dennis Bergkamp because he gets so many assists and he pops up with some very important goals. I feel like I need to keep him there. What I wanted to do originally was sell Fabinho, sell Bergkamp, keep Littman and Gerrard, and then maybe go into someone like Kante and possibly Griezmann up front or something. Suarez came into mind. We've been talking about it for the last few episodes, but Dennis Bergkamp can do some really magical things, and that's not planned. He literally just did that as I was saying it. I want to play another weekend league with Dennis Bergkamp and Jari Littmanen, sort of swapping and changing between cam and striker, and see where we are next week. Or maybe if we get a decent red player pick, striker-wise, then he could find his way out. But look at that, 9 minutes in, 2-1 down. Crazy game, absolute crazy game. But yeah, I think what I want to do, and I don't want to go into too much detail here because it will ruin tomorrow's episode, and ironically, again, that's not planned, I want to put Mahrez on the right-hand side where he's meant to play, and that would mean that Mbappe can't stay there because obviously there's no room for him, and I don't want to play him off Kem, even though he does score things like that. And if you watch the review, it does come across that I'm maybe not liking him. I do like him, I just feel like there's a better player out there for me in particular. I'm not going to tell you who I'm leaning towards right now, although if you do look at my Twitter, you can see the 4 candidates, one of which is actually Mbappe. But there's another 3 players in there who I'm very tempted by, but that Mahrez card has to stay, and I want to see what he can do on full chem. So I think, I'm not 100% yet, but I'm thinking Mbappe is going to go onto the market. We're going to get rid of him. We'll bring in a replacement for that left-hand side. We'll see what rewards bring us as well. Maybe we change, maybe we don't. And I think what will happen is that we stick with Bergkamp as the striker, Littmanen as the cam, and we'll swap between those two as and when we go sort of high pressure and things like that. And we'll do one more weekend league and we'll see how that performs, because I don't want to change the team too much if I'm enjoying myself with it. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to ruin it to the point where I don't enjoy it anymore and then it becomes a slog. Because Bergkamp was a massive part of why this weekend was so easy to play, because those type of, you play the ball into feet and you can sort of flick it and you're trying to recreate the goal against Newcastle and things like that, and you're passing it very, very, that goal right there is one of my favourite goals of the weekend. It was just pinpoint and it was ping pong. It was like tick-a-tack of football. And okay, there are other players who can do that, sure, but the players you enjoy using are the ones that you get the more enjoyment out of, right? So that guy scored completely against the run of play, and I was a bit annoyed by it because I was all over him and I couldn't score. And then 33 minutes we put it in, and I think it's just before the break, or was it literally straight after? Can't remember. The ball's played out to Alexandro, and we tried to play it forward, and it's not quite worked out. But Alexandro managed to get it back, give it to Littman, and Bergkamp's there. Gerrard. I was always looking for Gerrard. Every single time the ball came to Gerrard, there's Bergkamp, and that's in the back of the net. And again, he's absolutely fantastic. But I was always looking for Gerrard on the edge, because it was either going to be him with a long-range effort, or I was going to get him to play the killer ball. And I love having that facilitator. That guy quit after 38 minutes. That was a nice one. This was fun, and I might do a reaction to this tomorrow. As you just saw his name live on Twitch, this guy streams. And I wasn't watching it at the time because I was just playing it. But after the game, I went to find his stream and I found it because his stream was actually his gamer tag. And he was streaming the entire game. He was going for gold 1. He was already gold 2. He was going for gold 1. And in the end, this loss cost him gold 1. I feel guilty, but on the other hand, he did call me some very, very rude things. So maybe not so much. But the thing that got me, and I think I mentioned this at the beginning, you never know who you're playing, right? Because instantly, as soon as I scored the first goal with Lippmann, he said, I think this guy is a top 100 player. And his opinion of me didn't change the entire game. He said it again, I think it was just after half-time. I think it was when that Lippmann goal went in. I feel like I'm definitely playing a top 100 player. I was awful in that game. How I managed to... I won it in the end. This was the game that took us to goal 3. But how I managed to win this was purely down to his mistake. He played the ball to Bergkamp there, and his defence stepped up. He kept playing offside trap. Mahrez was in. That is when he called me all the bad words under the sun. I think I may have cut out a goal there. I do apologise. But either way, we won 4-2. And I may react to that tomorrow. I do kind of feel bad for the guy. But it wasn't that game that literally cost him gold 1. But if he'd won that game, he would have got gold 1 eventually. Because I think he finished on 19 wins. So I do feel bad for him. But we did get gold 3 with 9 games remaining. It was a very easy run to gold 3. And like I said, tomorrow's episode... we'll talk about the player switching and maybe selling Mbappe, maybe not, see where I feel, and who we're going to bring in for him as well. And I may show a clip of that guy and sort of react to the game, because that's the first time I've ever played someone who I knew was recording it, that I could actually go back and watch of it. So that'll be interesting. Sorry, there's nothing but gameplay in this episode. Tomorrow, like I said, we'll do a lot more different things. If you have enjoyed this episode, do me a favour and smack that like button. Let me know where you finished in Weekend League in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and until the next time, goodbye.